All Sedco 4X offshore drilling rigs have been designed and equipped with safety very much in mind. They're protected by sophisticated systems and equipment. But unless everybody on board knows how to react in an emergency, their effectiveness is limited. So, it's up to each individual to make sure he knows what to do. Read the station bill, learn the alarms and how to respond to them, and always take all drills seriously. And, although you may think you've heard it all before, please pay careful attention to this presentation. It could save your life. It's not likely that you'll ever need to evacuate a rig, but if you do, there are several escape methods. The preferred ones are by helicopter and supply boat or standby vessel. But if the helideck's out of action, or if the weather conditions are bad, you may be told to use the lifeboats. If for some reason they're not accessible, the next option is to use the life rafts located around the rig. If no other escape method is possible, you should make your way down to the water using stairways, ropes, scramble nets, or personal escape devices. Finally, but only as a last resort, you may be forced to jump. But don't jump into the sea from high up. The impact as you hit the water wearing a life jacket could damage your neck or cause other injuries. If not wearing a life jacket, there's also the danger of drowning. And, in colder locations, survival time in the water may be very short. Always think about what you're doing and react quickly but safely. There are enough lifeboats for everyone on the rig, and on many rigs there are secondary lifeboats. During an emergency, you may be advised to use the secondary lifeboats due to adverse sea conditions, or because the primary lifeboats are inaccessible because of fire, smoke, or gas. There are several types of lifeboat in use. The Shat watercraft survival capsule is fairly typical, but you must take the time to familiarize yourself with the lifeboats on your rig. The lifeboats are completely enclosed and self-righting. The number of people that can be accommodated varies according to the manufacturer and model. If there are dangerous gases and fumes around the lifeboat, its compressed air system will provide fresh air for more than 10 minutes. And in conditions where outside temperatures are high, there's a spray system that'll cool down the hull and keep the fiberglass from melting. Stowed on board are items of equipment designed to cope with the various needs of passengers in an emergency. The equipment may vary depending on the legislation in the area in which your rig is operating. Gordon Fortune was once involved in a real emergency evacuation, so he knows just how useful these items are.
The lifeboat drills are held weekly, are important, so always take them seriously, and if there is anything you do not understand, ask the supervisor or the man in charge. I know that when I had to abandon the rig, the crew I was working with knew exactly what they had to do, and that was the reason why we all got away safely. Small fire extinguishers.
There are various compartments for the different things you may need. Fire extinguishers, a first aid kit, and food and water are all obvious essentials, as are things like flares. The flares are in watertight compartments, and there are various types. Parachute flares can be seen from some distance, and you can show rescuers where you are by lighting orange smoke flares in the daytime or handheld flares at night.
And the flare will ignite. Then hold it by the handle provided.
This is a heliograph. Basically, it's a mirror which you can use to flash at the rescue craft to help them to see you. In the forward section, there are lines that you can throw to a person in the sea to pull them alongside the boat. There's also a small ladder to help them scramble aboard. If ropes are tangled and have to be cut in a hurry, there's a hatchet here too.
Also in the forward section,
this sea anchor is trailed overboard to reduce drifting and keep the head of the boat into wind. This will reduce the roll of the boat and make the journey more comfortable for the passengers. Sometimes oil is useful to make the sea surface less broken, This funnel is designed to spread the oil. You take off the top cap, fill it with storm oil, and put the cap back on. Then open the stopcock at the other end. Put the funnel inside the sea anchor and trail the anchor as before. There are whistles for attracting attention and sources of illumination, which may include waterproof torches and storm lanterns. There's sometimes another form of illumination inside the compass box. When you break one of these light sticks, it can help you see the compass at night to make sure you're steering the right course. Any water in the boat can be pumped out by using the bilge pump at the stern. If it fails, there's a hand bailer. In this lifeboat, the cylinder for the compressed air we mentioned earlier is under the forward sitting benches, but the location may be different on other boats. This is the Emergency Position Indicating Radio Beacon, or EPIRB. You deploy this when the boat's reached a safe position. It transmits a signal that can be picked up by the emergency rescue services. EPIRBs are gradually being replaced by search and rescue transponders, or SARTs. These operate on a very similar principle. These are watertight caps. If for any reason the engine fails, you can take them off, fit the oars through them, and use muscle power. It's essential to remember which lifeboat you're assigned to. When you arrive on board the rig, your medic, or the person in charge of check-in, will give you a room number and tell you the location of your boat. If there are secondary lifeboats, you will be informed about these as well. This information is listed on the station bill, along with a description of the alarms in use. Alarm signals can vary from region to region, so if you have been working on a different rig, don't assume you know the alarms. Check them out. When the boat drill bell rings, get your life jacket and go to your lifeboat station. There'll be someone there who's in charge of the lowering procedure, and also a mechanic who'll operate the engine. If they don't show up, their substitutes will take over. At each lifeboat station, there will be a list of personnel allocated to that lifeboat. When the person in charge has checked your name off on his list, assemble by the entrance to your allocated lifeboat. As an alternative, a T-card system may be in use. This means that you find the card with your name on it and turn it around. Whichever system is in use, you must be sure that you know what to do, and for this reason, it is important to pay attention during the lifeboat drills. When instructed to, if required as part of the drill, load the lifeboat. The first person to get to the lifeboat station should open both the doors and latch them from the inside. Depending on the model you have, you may have to release two clamps under the bow and stern, like this. Before passengers load the lifeboat, the engine should be started to ensure it's operating correctly. The engine is water-cooled, so it shouldn't be run for more than a minute or two without being in the water. In a real emergency, we do not want to load all allocated personnel, then find out there is a starting problem. Remember, there are individuals whose job it is to operate the engine and lower the boat, but it's important for all of us to know how everything works, in case we ever have to help out. The engine can be started either by an electric or hydraulic starter. If it's a hydraulic system, depressing a foot pedal will normally activate it. If there is not enough pressure to start the motor, it may be necessary to repressurize the hydraulic reservoirs using the hand-operated lever. If it's cold, use the cold engine start knob. The instructions of the man in charge of the lifeboat, normally called the coxswain, must be followed at all times. The coxswain will direct people as they board to take their seats in such a way as to keep the aft of the boat low when it is in the water. He will also be directing personnel movement to accommodate all personnel allocated to the boat, keeping entrance doorways clear for late arrivals. As soon as you sit down, put your seatbelt on. It's very important that you fasten yourself in, because it's correct weight distribution that helps the craft to right itself if a big wave capsizes it. When everyone's on board and strapped in, the doors are closed and sealed. If air quality is poor, the ventilator should be shut and the compressed air released by turning the red knob on the cylinder. The craft can now be lowered. Wire ropes on the davits connect to release hooks on the bow and stern. Both lines run from one double drum winch. This keeps the capsule level when it's lowered or raised. The lowering control wire is above the steering console. The helmsman pulls it to release the winch brake. He keeps tension on the wire as the weight of the craft takes it down to the sea. It drops at 30 meters per minute. If, for any reason, he needs to stop the descent, he just releases the tension on the wire. When the craft's safely in the water, the bow and stern clamps must be released from the lifting hooks. The release mechanism is normally located by the steering console. All Sedco 4X lifeboats should be fitted with the on-load release system. Make sure you know how the release mechanisms work on your lifeboats. Once in the water, the control wire is also released, and the craft can be driven away from the rig. If necessary, the water spray system can be activated. When the craft's out of danger, the hatches can be opened to the outside air. Once clear of the rig, there are some other basic survival rules to follow. The lifeboat should not sail downwind of the rig, because in this position there may be gas or smoke. Equally, the lifeboat should not sail into a position where, if its motor failed, it would be carried back onto the rig by the wind or currents. Generally, the correct course to sail would be into the wind, at an angle of about 45 degrees. Boats should stay together and not go too far from the abandoned rig. A mile is about right, always depending on the conditions. You want to get far enough away so that if the rig burns or sinks, you won't get caught in the fire or the resulting debris. And you want to be near enough to the rig because rescuers go to the rig's last position, then work their way out from there as they search. You'll also want to be near the rig to pick up any survivors. As we said, it's essential for each individual to react quickly and responsibly in an emergency. So remember what to do. When the alarm rings, put on the nearest available life jacket. This may be in your cabin or in a storage box. Don't panic, but get to your lifeboat station as quickly as possible. Get into the lifeboat once your name has been checked off, or once you have taken your T-card. Get into the boat and take a seat all the way forward or aft, following the instructions of the coxswain. Fasten your seatbelt. There are people assigned to each lifeboat who have been specially trained to lower and handle it. If there ever is an emergency, always follow their directions. If there's anything you're not sure about, ask now. Don't wait until it's too late.